In one of the previous videos, we defined a CSS class called primary font, and we used that class to style the content of the body on the single post page. So we were setting properties like font family, line height, and so on to apply on this article, on the body of the article. But we forgot to do one thing, which is to add a link to the font family that we are using on this post body. So if you go to singlepost.html, you will notice that we are using a class of our primary font on the body of the content. And if you look for that class inside the public.css file, you will notice that we are assigning a font family of Libre Baskerville to that primary font class. Alright, so we need to import this class in our single post file before it actually applies. If you take a look at the project we're working on the finished project, the fonts are a little bit different because of this issue. Alright, so we need to add a link to that font in the head section of our single post.html file. But we don't need to go on Google again and search for this font and grab the link. We have already used it once before on this project. So I'm just going to go to where we used it, which is inside the admin folder, inside post folder, and in the create.html file. So these are the links to those fonts. There are actually two fonts. One of them is Libre Baskerville and the other one is Open Sans. Alright, so let me copy this link and then I go over to singlepost.html and then I paste. Okay, when we do that and we refresh, you will notice that the styles are already applying, but they kind of look too big. The size of the fonts look a little too big, so I'm going to reduce it a bit. So I go to the primary font class and I will set the font size to 1.125 rem instead of 1.25 rem. And with that, our font size is going to reduce to a level that's better. And while we are on the subject of font families, I want to change the font family of this title. If you look at what we have here, the font families are totally different. That's because we have given this a font family of Open Sans that is on the finished project. We need to do the same on the project we are working on. And I'm just going to assign this font family to all heading elements in general. So it's not only the title of this banner here. All headings on the website should have a font family of Open Sans. So I'm going to select from level 1 to level 6 headings. And I will first of all give them a color of this color I prepared in the background, and then a font family of, let me see, Open Sans. Okay, when we do that and refresh, you will notice that it now takes the same font family as what we have on the finished project. Alright, so these are the preliminary changes I wanted us to make. I'm also going to add this link to Google Fonts to the home page because we forgot to add it there as well. So go to index.html in the root folder and we will add this link to Google Fonts at the top just before the include for the Slick Carousel CSS. Okay, so we are doing this so that the Open Sans font will also take effect on these headings here. Alright, so these are the preliminary styles I wanted us to make before we proceed to design the next public page. And the next public page we are designing is the topic posts page, which is basically the page where we list all the articles that belong under a particular topic. For example, in the finished project, if you click on any of the topics on the navigation bar, you will be taken to a page where all the articles under that topic are being listed. Alright, so let us create a new file for this page. I'm going to collapse everything. And then now we are going to create a new file in the root folder of the application called topic posts.html. And if you take a look at the single post page on our project, it looks very similar to the topic posts page. So we are simply going to copy the HTML for the single post page over to the topic post.html file and modify it accordingly to look like the topic posts page. So I'll open single post.html file and copy all the code inside it. And then I paste it inside the newly created topic posts page. I'm going to scroll to the top and start modifying it accordingly. We are not going to use a carousel on this file, so I'm going to remove the link to the CSS for Slick Carousel. Here I'm just going to set the topic name as a title. The header or the navigation bar is going to remain exactly the same, so we are not going to change anything there. And since we removed the link to the Slick Carousel CSS, I will just also remove the suggested post section, since that carousel is also not needed. Okay, so make sure you remove the opening and closing tag for that. The next thing we are not also going to need is the author bio, so I'm going to take that out as well. Okay, and even the primary font, or rather the body of the article, we are not going to need. So basically we have removed everything within the main content element. So we will leave it empty for now, and let us scroll up and make the modifications that we need to make on the banner. First of all, I'm just going to open this page on the browser. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, so the first change we are going to make is we will remove the right box altogether, since we don't have any content or image in that position. So inside page banner, we are going to select the element that has a class of right box, and we'll delete the HTML for that element. Secondly, we no longer need the author info or the social media share link. These elements are going to be replaced by a short title for the a short description for the topic. Or you know what, I'm just going to leave them and start from the top. Start with the breadcrumbs and then come down from there. So for the breadcrumbs, we are simply going to have a link to the home page followed by the name of the topic. So this home link is going to remain here, and then after that we'll have live lessons, which is the topic whose page we are viewing. Now this is not going to contain any link because we are already on that page, so there is no point in linking to it again. And of course we don't need this third part of the breadcrumbs, so I will remove that. Okay, just some formatting. Alright, then now if you refresh, you see now that the updated path is correct. Now the title of the banner now will be the name of the topic. So I'm just going to copy the topic name and replace the h1 element with it. Okay, and then lastly, we are going to replace these elements with a simple description of the topic. So everything within post details we are going to remove. Let me remove gradually to avoid making a mistake. I remove this sub element, and then I remove this one as well. And then instead of a class of post details, we are just going to set a class of primary font, and then we will add some dummy text within this element to represent the description of our topic. Alright, so if we refresh, this is how it looks, which is what we want. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to add the elements, or rather the elements here. We'll add the elements that represent the articles under this topic. So we already have designs for our card elements, so we will just search for any flat card. Alright, so the only flat card so far is a featured post, so we are going to copy the article elements with that. You copy the entire featured post article element, and then we paste it inside the main content section. Alright, we are going to take out the featured post class because this is not a featured post. And then if you refresh, it's looking good. Now we are on the topics page, so it doesn't make sense for us to be adding a tag of that topic on the postcards. So we are going to remove this from the topic, or rather from the article. So we remove the anchor link that has that topic. Alright, everything else remains the same. So the only thing that's left now is to duplicate this a few times. Alright, so I just copy and paste the same article a few times, and we'll see how many of them will look on this page. The last thing we need to add is a link, a pagination load more link, like we see on the finished project here. So after the last article in the main content element, I'm going to add a button with a class of btn, another class of long btn so that it spans the entire width, and then the text on this, or the label on this element, is going to be load more. Back to our browser, refresh, and you can see the button here. Now, since we copied this file from the single post.html file, and since we had already made that file mobile responsive, this one is also going to be automatically mobile responsive. So if you just reduce the width of the page, you will notice that it's perfectly responsive. Okay, and that brings us to the end of this video. In the next video, we are going to continue to finish off the remaining pages.